Good morning, everyone. Let me just get used to my setup here. All right. Sue, would you come up? This is my friend Sue. She is going to run the slides because, it's Surreal morning. We're not going to fit into the box, right? And I can't stand in one place that long. If I talk like this, can everybody hear me? Okay, so I'm going to make like I'm doing a TED Talk, right? It's almost, and talk to you out here. And since it is Surreal morning, Sue, when it's the next slide, instead of next, we're going to say egg when I want you to flick to the next. Okay, egg. Maybe I'm going to change the word, and you'll have to guess that that's what I meant. Okay. All right, we'll do that. First, what I'm going to do is take you through some pictures, because I'm a professional, obviously, public artist, and I want you to, we're going to be speaking through our work. I'm going to guide the talk today, assuming, what is it, how do I see myself as a public artist, as an art professional, and also we're going to touch on the theme of surreal as we go through this. So the next slide is common threads. P.S. They're going to put a big high-rise in front of it in the next year, a big skyscraper. So it will be there, but you're not going to see it like you see it now. So that, but we're trying to do something about that. This was probably it was my breakout piece here in Philadelphia. I've lived in Philadelphia since 1992. I'm a big Philly girl. Go Eagles! And yes, I know they're not still in the Super Bowl, but you know. So this started because when I first came to Philly and began to paint murals, I thought a lot of them were fence size, right? If you're thinking like in the 1980s. And I remember driving by this building thinking, could you imagine if I could ever paint something like that? And I loved that building. So drove around a few years, got some experience in murals, collaborated with Jane Golden at the Mural Arts Program, and had a residency in the high school across the street. And I kept noticing that the young women who went to school there had hairdos, and they reminded me of little figurines in my grandmother's curio cabinet. So I thought, gosh, if these young ladies in Philly, you know, right now are reminding me of old women with 18th century booths from Europe, perhaps that speaks to all the common ties in all of us. So this is a true story. I did this design. I took pictures of the kids in the high school and compiled this, took pictures of the figurines, gathered figurines from different places, drew the design, walked in this building. Head Start was in there, excuse me. So I walked into the office of the woman at Head Start and said, my first visit, I did this, I think it would look really beautiful on your building. And she said, oh my gosh, that is beautiful. Okay, paint it. So that's how this came. And one thing I think, my most successful projects that I have done have started from my heart. So whenever I have an opportunity to realize something from my heart, I jump on it. High priority, go for it. As an example, this past year I made a joke about the Eagles right now, but I am a die-hard Eagles fan. And always said Eagles are going to get in the Super Bowl. If they ever do, we're going to paint the front of our studio. We're going to do it really big Eagles colors. So now we're artists. I'm not just going to paint the Eagles logo, right? A, that would be illegal. And B, you know, so 3 days before the Super Bowl, and this really came from my heart, I said, we're going to stop what we think our work is today, and we are going to have a pizza party, open our doors in South Philly, and paint a big, gigantic bird. Well, it wasn't, so it was 5 feet tall, carrying Tom Brady. This image got 20 times more social media than Pope Francis. It went nationally viral and generated more income for our studio this year than anything. any of what we thought was our work. So then I thought it's a fluke story, right? And there's certain, but at the same time, it's another thing that comes in my life that shows me, follow those things from the heart, right? You don't know where they're going to lead you. Oh, okay, so next slide. If I go talk that long on every slide, let's hunker down for Surreal Morning, people. And that was the building before, just so you can see what it looked like. And I mean, that's daunting when you're standing on the street. So that egg. This is from photographing the high school students. I do a lot of photographing and catching and sketching and documenting and talking. The first part of my process, I would say, is I call from the community. I am not, what motivates me and where I draw my content is not from my own mind. That, to me, is a unique thing for an artist, right? So next, that is the after painting it, during painting it, egg, okay. This was a mural in, do work all around the country, Shreveport, Louisiana. It's entitled Once in a Millennium Moon. It's 240 feet tall. Do you see there are little people at the top of that building? So it would take us 20 minutes to ride up and down it in a day. And this is about the cycles of life. Everything in the public work of mine that you see is taken directly from where the art is placed. Egg. Oh, that's so funny the slide got in here. This is the mural before, and that Shrek mural by Cesar and Roy Boy. They wanted, the guys who were priming it on the mural team wanted their day in fame and left that up overnight. And then, of course, I get the call like, they're not sponsors. My sponsors are going to say, because you can see these signs down here. And I was like, okay, just give it to them. It'll be off by tomorrow. Okay, egg. So you get an idea of the scale of this one. This is a 75-foot swing stage. And that's another thing that I feel really blessed about my job is, what do I like to do, right? I like to be outside. I like to be with people. And I love to paint large scale. So for me, this is a total win. And to be up on a swing stage like that over a Louisiana city and the sun setting, that's with a gallon of paint or 100 gallons of paint, that's my little slice of heaven. Egg. Okay. This was a mural, not a mural, but installation. As I've grown, we had these opportunities. We call these works, they're more ephemeral works, or what would I say, time specific perhaps. And in 2015, Pope Francis was coming to Philadelphia. Sister Mary and Project Home wanted to do something in honor and for the Pope during that visit. Egg. So where the project started was a picture of Mary Undoer of Knots. Perhaps we make a duplicate of it, right? I'm like, I'm not sure I could paint it as good as the first guy. It was done 200 years ago. Like, well, how meaningful is that going to be? So I thought exchange, bringing people to the table. I'm a lot about exchange and crossing boundaries, placing people together, making things with their hands, people who wouldn't ordinarily be together. I think there's a formative power in that. So we devised this grotto. We were going to create a contemporary grotto where people came, they left their struggle, and importantly, they picked up a struggle of someone else, read it, and tied it into this grotto structure. And there was magic. We got, and I am proud to say, largest public participation in an art project. 150,000 people donated their struggles to this. Egg. And So we had the grotto, right? So it was a wood structure, then it became a furry ball, then it became the struggles were crawling up the streets. We tied them to the top of the dome on the basilica. No one from License and Inspections flagged us. We started growing down the parkway. I mean, it was a magnificent time of, and I tell you, I've never in my life experienced energy that became something real. It was, when you walked in there, the more struggle that came in there, the more beautiful and calming the place was. It was something, have you ever been to a place, maybe it was 150,000 people prayed there, or maybe it was, but it became something tangible. More pictures. And then the great thing is, one of the things I like to do, and the beauty of collaborating, is we can find what people do well and let them do it for the benefit of the art. This is our landscaper that I knew from another project. He had all his friends come in. He's the one who got the bucket truck to go up to the dome. We had people coming with plants. Nurseries brought old flowers. Fountain guy brought this pond. And then lo and behold, someone who came to the thing said, well, you're going to get bacteria in there. And I said, oh my God, that would be horrible. So she brought fish the next day. And so it was like that, how wonderful, that type of collaboration, and giving people an opportunity to do what they do well. Egg. And the Pope came, which doesn't suck. He was wonderful, wonderful guy. Egg. Nighttime shots, egg. And see the egg. This is a picture of, we were projecting people undoing and doing the knots on the basilica. And how this one got done is we have the commission. You walk into the meeting and you say, oh my God, this is what we're going to do. We're going to project onto the basilica the people tying their knots. It's like a done deal, right? If I'm beginning, I'm not asking, I'm just like, this is the project. And that people will roll with you, right? If you have some established success, a good idea. And I also find that that's a very good, sometimes that what you think of, just go for that. Egg. Okay, wrapping it in. So that's sort of a little bit of we do installation work in the studio. It's Meg Saligman studio. I'm very lucky to have young artists working in the studio with me, people from the community. And I'm gonna segue into surreal work that we do, because I do think the world right now could use a little bit more of the bizarre, let's say. So what do people have? Who wants to tell me what they have on their tag? Since I'm all about sharing. Yes?
Turn the world upside down.
So what is the question? Wow, okay. I make the world more surreal by turning it upside down. Figurative, literally.
Yeah, Duchamp style. Just when you're done with it, turn it around and then it's done.
Great. Look at it in a different way. Nothing is as it seems. Cool. What's on your tag? What would you say that you do that's surreal in this world? I don't know why I'm putting you on the spot, but you look so nice. You got a smile on your face.
I don't think I do anything to turn the world upside down. I chat with
That's
people.
pretty surreal, right? I think so, yeah. And I think with the devices, I remember when I was young, right? If you would get stuck with people. Let's say you're waiting for a bus, you're waiting in line, you're standing next to somebody, and you're literally looking at them. And you learn how to talk. If you put my kids in a situation like that without their phones, they have no idea. And these are outgoing kids, right? So I think that while it has many advantages, the talking might be surreal these days. Yes.
I make the world more surreal by dancing about climate change.
Oh, that's cool. That's quite surreal, right? Yeah. Is that actually happening, by the way? I'm going to give you a little platform here. Yeah. Oh my God, somebody do something more, right?
But I often don't couch it with the words climate change because let's talk about what you see happening and move to what we can do without getting into the bugaboo that is.
Right, right, yes.
I train people in civil disobedience around climate change, so we should talk.
Ah, nice. I love civil disobedience, right? Good. Okay, Egg. Okay, so we have Salvador Dali, some examples of surrealism. Egg. I like that one. Why do we like that one? I don't know. Egg. Don't want to eat off that or drink out of it. Egg. And this is an example of someone more contemporary. If anyone gets High Fructose, this is an artist that they show a lot. Big on Instagram. Pop surrealism, right? Egg. Love that painting, right? Wish I did it. What is it? I don't know. Do you think it could be a climate change thing? I mean, that angry animals are bashing down the shitty development? Who knows? But and I think that's one of the beauties of surrealism or the surreal. And I truly, people have told me that my work can present that in it, but that you don't necessarily know what it is, which brings a place for you to bring your own shit to the table, right? You bring what interests you, even if it's, I mean, the good stuff too. All right, Egg. So this is a mural here in Philadelphia at 13th and Locust, and I would say it has more of a surreal quality because what's going on there, it was a commission on the arts in Philadelphia. It was a cinder block wall, all those bricks are painted, all the artists were working artists and still are actually in Philadelphia at the time it was painted. And an interesting thing, just because it's an art theme, is in the thing that I thought this was about 2000. What I thought was interesting about the arts at that time and now is it's so hard to define what they are. The ancient Greek muses, there were 9 of them, and 4 of them were dedicated to poetry, right? Like tragedy, this, that. Now, you couldn't, if you were to define a contemporary muse, we were like, okay, not poetry, let's say writing or literature, then it became word, right? That's how open the arts is now. So the contemporary muses all have different little categories for art. Egg. So you can see some close-ups of the painting. Love to paint. How many people are lucky enough, let's say, to paint a 20-foot hand, right? I mean, first of all, you probably couldn't fit the canvas in your studio, and it's just that physical act of figuring out how you paint that differently. You just go bam, 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 and it becomes a beautiful is a real turn on for me. Egg. This is a new one that was done last year. It looks over 95, and it actually is quite surreal, right? The theme of this was, and it's interesting that we were working with the constituency of traumatized children. So Surreal being a place where we thought that was a good arena for which to hold our conversations and engagement, I think is kind of interesting. So let's set the stage for new ways in trauma. And each of these things and objects, mother duck, baby duck, do you know, can be related in the trauma field. Do you know that for a child who has experienced trauma, if they have one adult in their lives who is a protective factor, they are so likely to have meaningful, productive, successful lives, just with one adult. And the head of the trauma center was saying to me, like, our society today isn't always set up for that. You might have two parents working, you might have a single parent, grandparents don't live near you. So I just was, why to me was it, that's the thing about working in the public and working around social justice issues, learning and exploring through the art can really change the way I navigate the world, and hopefully people who participate in it will have that same experience. So this is the front of the stage, Egg. And then the other side of the building that's on North 95 is the back of the stage. These guys are doing the shadow performance that projects on the other side. So multiple generations, drawings and objects that came from the youth in the center. It's over their playground. To me, the fact too that their playground looked like crap and now they're playing under this every day. That's gotta be doing something. So I think the siting of work and where it is a powerful decision in public work. Egg. This is at Broad and Lombard with sculpture and mosaic. It's theater of life, probably the most surreal thing. And this mural asks a question, what role do you take in your life, whether you know it or not? It has a guy in there with a card that says open casting. It's got a puppet master with his hands controlling everybody. And the people stand for different characters. Egg. They're each are a different character, I would say. Egg. Again, photographing artists. This was on South Broad Street. She was a dreamer of our character, and she's actually the one who's cutting the strings in the mural, and she's cutting the strings of the lovers down here, the little lover puppets. Egg. You can't see him. Can you see him in this picture? No. She had beautiful tattoos. Egg. Here's some actual paintings that I did that I thought in 2007 that I think actually are very surreal. And these faces of the women, Egg. This is entitled The Drumettes. This is Bathing Beauties. There's a lot about iconic persona. Egg. The faces were scanning faces from different centuries together, from beauties of different centuries together to make one face. So the sculpture is from way back where you see where they didn't have photography, and it would come all the way up to a recent sort of cover girl. Egg. This was called The Stoop. This was a play on mural making. It was a painting of the side of the building, writing on the outside of it, designing. It was put up as a grid, and people could actually pull off and purchase the small square paintings off the wall. So it was actually a successful revenue generator too. Egg. Okay. Now, Figmago, and it's funny, did you guys ask me for Surreal because you thought because I was surprised at how I could come up with slides for this. And we were doing in the studio now, this last summer was Figmago. Did anybody see it? You did? Did you like it?
I loved it. It's around the corner from my house.
You loved it. What is she going to say? Well, you know, I guess I'm glad I saw it, or I know what it is now. So anyway, I have this idea that it's not original. I think what are original ideas? I don't know. But that when you walk into an artist's studio, you should be, there is potential. I don't like to say shoulds around art, so I shouldn't say that. There is potential for people to be delighted and inspired. And if you're walking in my studio, I would want you to be surprised, delighted, and think something different when you walk out. So this notion, and also working in the public realm for all these years, now I finally have a space, right? It's been altered by the work we've done in it, and we decided to open the studio space up to a year-round immersive experience. So you come into the working studio, you see something different, you take a self-guided tour, and this summer we had Figmago, which we collaborated with Brian Sanders of Junk. So you would walk in, you would think you're in your typical studio tour, and you're like, oh, this is good, oh, Jesus, is it gonna be an hour? You know, but all right. And then you would walk through a surprise door, and Junk would surprise you with rooms of painting and acrobatics and dancing. So that was a whole lot of fun. It's, okay, Egg? So this is walking into the main building of the studio. Egg? Another Surreal. This was a headboard from the Westin Hotel. Interestingly enough, for art professionals, we designed, USA said it was the hippest hotel room in the country. Everything made by Philadelphia artists. It was a financial disaster. Nobody wanted to stay in it. Because it's like, if you're a Westin client and you're on business travel, you don't want to be surprised when you're going to bed. You don't want to like go to get your toilet paper and you push a button and a hand gives it to you. Like, it's like, enough. Which actually, I thought that was cool. You don't want to sleep under, you know, these guys necessarily. Egg. This is when you walk through the closet. That's pretty surreal, right? That's a good one. Egg. Then you enter into the dining room. Egg, which is now the drawing room. You come in and do drawings. When we had the dancers there, it was a sexy table dance, which fabulous. Egg. There's a sexy table dance. Oh my God, it was so good. I wish it was in there all the time. Egg. Then you go in and you can play in a sandbox. It's on Bainbridge. We called it Bainbridge Beach. And you can play with color, light, sand, egg. More photos. One thing we ask people a lot is, what do you see? When you come, and I think that's kind of an interesting lesson on surrealism in life and experience. Because when you're looking at a work of art, like, suspend judgment. Suspend, I like it, I don't like it, it would look good with my couch, whatever you're thinking, right? And think, what do I see? What am I observing? I think that is something that could resonate in almost everything we do. Egg. We had a movie showing on the floor. Egg. Egg. You can buzz through these. And then in the end, we invited people to become the artist. Shocked. People, all ages, all professions, the quietest, grumpiest, the surliest teenager, the quietest professional would come in, and they'd be in our last room where they became the artist, and they'd be putting costumes on and dancing. And it's like, sometimes I'm like, guys, it's kind of, you know. And it just was, one day we had in there, and this is when you bring people into your studio, for me. One day we had in it, she was an older ballerina, right? I was saying older, probably 80, 75, 80. And she got behind a egg. She got behind a screen where you could project your silhouette. She had us all captivated for 15 minutes and did the most elegant, beautiful dance behind us. And it's just like, I'm just going to work today and I get this. Like, what a freaking joy, right? So egg, that was my last slide. And I think we are going to open it up. Is there anything I should have hit on that I didn't in just the?
Did pretty good. I mean,
Pretty?
Oh, I'm sorry, you did amazingly.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, guys.